This computer. Hey, Amy, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing well today. How are you?
Good, thank you. So you won the 12th day of Christmas, or you are one of the winners of the 12th day of Christmas. So congratulations, super exciting. I'm sure though our paths would have crossed, I think, either way, because I am starting to interview a bunch of women in our community who have done incredible things. And I don't know much about you yet, but I'm about to learn. And from the little bit I do know about you, sounds like you're doing some really cool things. So I'm super, super excited to find out what that's all about. So I'm just going to go through a list of questions and we're going to chat and share your story because I think it's worth getting it out there because I'm sure there's more than just me that's super excited to hear about what you do and just how amazing you are. So maybe just tell us like where you're from, your family history, like where you grew up, just a little bit of your upbringing and background.
Okay. It's so funny because I do this for a living. I interview people, but then whenever I'm put in this position, oh,
Right? I know
yeah.
I was interviewed last night and I was like, okay, so this is how it feels on the other side. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
So I grew up in Stony Plain and area basically my entire life. Um, I've lived in Stony Plain, Spruce Grove, and I now live in Parkland County. So I've lived everywhere in the Tri-region since the age of 4.
Okay.
Um, most of
Super
my family
local.
Yeah, most of my family lives in this area also. Um, what else can I tell you? I went to school here.
Okay. So like your parents, are they from here as well? You have
Yeah,
siblings in the
so
area and
well,
stuff?
my mom lives in Spruce Grove.
Okay.
She's here. All my aunts and uncles live in the surrounding area, as does my spouse's family. Uh,
Okay. So
yeah,
lots of roots here. Like you guys
yeah,
are, you've been here a long, long time.
yeah,
So you know the area very well, you know the community very well, and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so then high school, university, what happened then? Like, where did you go to school, I guess, and what did you pursue?
Well, I went to Memorial Composite High School, the old one in Stony Plain before it was
Okay,
demolished. And after high school, I went to Grant MacEwan and I did the paralegal diploma program,
okay,
and then worked as a paralegal for many years. And started my family early. I was 21 when I had my first child.
wow,
Yeah. And then when my first child was 2, I decided to go back to school and I did a bachelor's degree in Native Studies through the Faculty of Native Studies at the U of A.
okay. So
And then
what interests are you like? Is that your background, or what interested you to pursue that? What kind of what switch flipped, I guess, or was there something that intrigued you to do that?
Um, well, I think just working in the legal world really made me aware of uh, Indigenous rights and
Okay,
human rights and social justice, and those things were really um, becoming a passion of mine.
okay,
Um, and then uh, I don't really know. When I knew I wanted to get a post-secondary degree, and I initially applied to the U of A, and my major was English and my minor was women's studies, and and I went to classes and I thought this is not what I want to be doing. And so I took an elective, my first elective, and it was an introductory Native Studies course. And my second class of that course, I had decided that I had to switch my concentration because this is something that I needed to pursue. And it turns out actually that my spouse is Métis, and so
okay,
um, I, I married into a Métis family. So then that fueled the passion even more, I
yeah,
suppose. Yeah.
okay. Cool. So you finished. Oh, sorry. I guess I should shut my phone off here. You finished your degree
Yeah.
and that. Okay. And then did you pursue any other degrees or education, or was that your main focus now?
Well, I worked full time because having a family isn't enough. So I worked full time. I worked full time while I was doing my undergraduate degree, and it took me 9 years to complete it. Like it was a long haul.
Yeah, that's tough when you've
Um,
got little ones at home. Like, oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it was worth it, and so in 2014, I convocated and I completed that degree, and the dream was to go to law school. Well, I applied to law school 3 times, and I never got in, and so
Okay.
I suppose there's a reason for that. That's at the time, I was crushed, but
Hmm.
as I got older, I realized that wasn't meant for me anyways, and so, um, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I applied for a master's in social work.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so now I'm doing that degree, and it really is where I belong, I believe. Yeah, I think a career in social work and social justice,
Okay.
is what I wanna do going forward, so.
Okay. So what job was it that you had while you were going to university or during this time frame? What exactly what you were you doing?
I, for almost 8 years, I worked with field law, and
Okay.
so I went into that role, um, when I was, I think, in my 2nd year of my Native Studies degree, already had the paralegal diploma. So it was a good mix of both, because the position was actually within the residential schools class action. So I traveled Alberta, gathering stories of residential school survivors to assist them through the claims
Wow.
process. I worked with a really unique team of lawyers and other paralegals and support staff, and um, yeah, that's what I did throughout my entire degree.
Okay. So are you still doing that now or has that shifted?
No, actually, once that wound down, I did a brief contract with the school division, and then um, I worked with the Métis Nation of Alberta for about a year and a half on their harvesting file, and it was actually a really exciting work because we were negotiating a new harvesting agreement with the province at the time. And
Cool.
yeah, and at the same time, I was doing Gladue reports, which is my work right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
So what does that mean?
A Gladue report is it's a type of sentencing report, and it's meant to be a restorative justice tool. So essentially, what you're doing is you're assisting a person who has some criminal charges,
Hmm.
has either been found or is pleading guilty or is going for bail. And you're outlining some of the intergenerational experiences of that person to the court with that person. It's a form of restoring and then also, incorporating other people in their network to help you understand, what has this individual faced, what's their family faced, and what's brought them to the court. And then along with that are suggestions um, for sentencing that the court can consider, which are more in line with that individual's experience than, say, would be a more punitive approach. So,
Hmm. So do you do that just in Alberta?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's funny. Like, I don't know a whole lot about restorative justice, but I have a cousin who's doing exactly that in Iqaluit, Nunavut, and she
Okay.
is super passionate about it. So I hear a little bit about it, but I'm an accountant by trade, so I'm far from the legal world. So I find it super intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, and I wouldn't venture out to say that the Gladue report itself is restorative justice. I
Okay.
would just
Okay.
say that this is a tool that's used within a colonial system of law that allows the court to have more of an understanding of some of the experiences that Indigenous people have had.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you get a job like that? Like how does that even come up? Like where were you that you got that? Or like I'm just thinking, were you one day thinking, I want to write or I want to do these Gladue reports? Like I would have never heard of it if I wouldn't have spoken with you. So I'm just curious how you got there.
I really like sharing this story because it just demonstrates how you meet people or connect with people for
Hmm.
some reason and to follow the path um, that you're led on. So I had tried um, doing some contract work, just paralegal work, not even necessarily um, anything to do with what I'm doing right now. Like it wasn't really
Hmm.
focused on doing any sort of um, Indigenous-based legal work. So what happened is I had put an ad up, and then someone contacted me with some issues with a landlord dispute. And so in these conversations, um, this lady who is a Cree woman, she said, I wasn't able to help her, but we really connected.
Mhm.
And she just said, I have this opportunity that I think that you would be really interested in. And she barely knew anything about me. And she sent
So
me the
funny.
link. Yeah, she sent me the link and it took me to the Alberta Purchasing Connection. It's the Alberta government vendor website where you can
Yes,
bid
I've
on.
been on there before with my other
Yeah.
job. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so it was the Glad You Report writing opportunity, and I thought, well, this looks really intense and hard to apply for, but there's a reason why she sent me this, so I'm going to do
Mhm.
it. And so I put in the proposal and was successful,
Oh,
uh,
cool.
and that's how it began.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah,
so neat. It's not, I don't like to say it's who you know necessarily, but it's sure about the connections you make, right? Like the
yeah,
network. And that's why I love doing this. Like I love meeting people and I love talking to people because you just never know what that's going to lead to. And you really don't know, like when you see somebody, you think you might create a story in your head of what they do, what they've done, or who they might be. And then you start talking to them and you're just like, holy cow, really? You did that? What is that? How
yeah.
does that even exist? I've never heard about that. So that's super cool. Okay, so um, you're working on your master's right now
Yeah.
and you're doing these Glad reports. So was this something you'd always envisioned, like growing up? Are you like, yeah, I want to be in the legal system, I want to do all this? Like, is this kind of, or did this all come together, as the years went by and just stuff fell into your lap kind of thing?
No, honestly, when I finished high school, I had no idea what I was going to be doing. It was
Okay.
actually my mother who suggested that I take the legal assistant program at Grant MacEwan, which is now called the paralegal program.
Okay.
And so I really had like, I mean, I liked it. It was a good
Yeah.
career, but yeah, I never planned for any of this. I just kind of followed where things went.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think too, like my first year of college was not what I'm doing right now, but I can see where it helped, right? And where it kind of guided me to where I am today. So I think there's always a purpose in every step of the way. And then you start realizing, yeah, oh, that's my purpose, or that's my passion, or that's what I really love to do. So I think that's really cool. So your friend who nominated you, Mel, she she mentioned that you are involved in a not-for-profit, or you started a not-for-profit. I really want to know more about that, and what led you to do that, and what it is, how it works. Like, give us all the details, because I know zero anything about it. So I want to know all of it.
Okay. Um, yeah, so my youngest son, Brock, who's 13, lives with a developmental disability. Um, and in the early years, it was really a struggle, um, quite isolating. There were some really traumatic things that happened with the medical system, with his health, and it was just really hard to cope. Um, and there wasn't really anyone to reach out to at that point, or nobody that I knew of that had
Okay.
similar circumstances.
Yeah.
Although I did connect with a few parents in the community, and that's how this nonprofit came to be. We were all interested in advocating for our kids to have access to the community like other kids. And so essentially, it started with myself and my friend Christy Bly. Um, we wanted to have accessible swings in parks in our region because there weren't any, and we couldn't take our kids to the park to do anything because um, they just, I mean, while her daughter in particular was unable to sit on her own and she needed that support
Mm.
and a piece of equipment. And so we ended up getting a grant and we
Wow.
donated it to Parkland County. And Cindy Davies with Parkland County at the time said to us, you guys should really incorporate because you'll have more chances at getting grants and people will take you more seriously if you are a formal organization and you start advocating. And so we did. Um,
Wow.
we found 3 other people because you need 5 to incorporate,
Okay.
and so we founded Cohesive Communities, and that was in
Okay.
2015. And so since then, we've still continued with the advocacy. We've still continued with the interest in making playgrounds and public spaces accessible and inclusive. Um, and we have once a month programming, but it's been really difficult because we can't do that right now.
I know that's so hard, right? Just when you think you got things going and then you're going to make
Yeah.
this thing really good and useful for a lot of people in need, then COVID
Yeah.
hits, right? But so you were doing monthly things to help people or okay. So
Yeah,
what was that about?
basically it's just a monthly gathering, just bringing people together, to do some kind of fun activity,
Okay.
while the childcare is provided. So we have respite, it's called, which
Yeah.
is a term for, kind of specialized childcare support.
Okay.
So we had that running with the program so that parents could attend the program and they had the childcare component. And so it's sad that we're not doing that right now, but people are still connecting virtually, and
Okay.
that's good to see. Although
Mhm.
we haven't formalized it, those connections are there.
Yeah.
So and hopefully we can get doing that again soon. But yeah, we have a
Yeah.
couple projects going on and ongoing
Okay.
advocacy in the community. So yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not easy to do that, to start an organization, and especially when there's so many not-for-profits out there, like you're kind of fighting for everyone's dollar, not fighting, but just hoping to get everyone's dollar. So how do you incorporate that in your day job? Like when do you find time to do this? Or is that not your role in that? Or what is your role, I guess, in this organization now, 5 years later?
My role is president of the board. So we are strictly volunteer. Um, We have 5 members on our board right now and hopefully soon a 6th. Mel is actually our vice president.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Um, and so, yeah, we all pitch in.
Yeah.
We all do
Okay.
what we can. Certain people have certain gifts and talents, and we couldn't do it without one another.
Hmm.
And I think, the time that I put in is I don't really like, it doesn't seem like it's that much because it's something that we all care about,
Right.
right?
And
Yeah.
you would probably be doing it as a parent in
Yeah.
some way or another, right? To
Yeah.
look after your own child. So then you guys have no staff, it's just a board with all
Yeah.
volunteer positions.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So do you seek donations and stuff like that, or do you have any sort of fundraiser for the program, or is it just grant writing? How do you guys get your revenue?
We do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
We've had some really amazing sponsors in the business community, who
Mhm.
have just done some fundraisers for us. And like a local family did a great fundraiser for us. We write grants when we can. And all that money goes back into the community, and into initiatives that we're doing, which feels really great, that we're able to do that. Um, I feel like I wanted to say something else, but I don't know what it was.
That's okay. It'll come back to you. It always does.
Yeah.
So what, like, I feel like, just from what I'm hearing from you, like, a lot of this is just not falling on your lap in a negative way, like in a very good way. Like all these opportunities have just been happening for you, like as time goes on. But like, what were your biggest influencers in your life? Like either growing up or, in your early 20s or that you think has shaped you to be who you are today and where you're at? Can you think of any?
You know, it's so hard. I mean, obviously, I grew up watching my mom being very devoted to her career and driven.
Okay, I'm really curious about that then. So you had a mom who was working outside of the home then?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And she still is very motivated and career driven. So I think that that
Okay.
is certainly where that comes from.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard because there's just so many experiences in life where
Hmm.
people have impacted you, but I just think You know, yeah, I'm losing. I
Yeah.
can't think of anything in particular right
So
now.
no one really specific then,
Yeah.
um, that you can think of. Okay, so I think that's the fact that your mom's very career driven, and like I just like I'm it's not, I mean it's happening more and more that women are getting career driven and you know, finding these really cool jobs and stuff. Um, so I'm just always super intrigued by that. I think that's I mean, whatever your passion is, whatever your role is, whether that is a stay-at-home mom or a career, I just like, it sounds like when someone's so motivated by it, like I'm just, that intrigues me so much. So that's so cool that you had that, you got to see that and watch that growing up. So um, what is your vision, I guess, for this not-for-profit? Like, are you wanting to grow it like crazy? Are you just, what, I guess maybe in the next 5 years, where do you, and it's hard too to predict with COVID, but what do you see happening for this not-for-profit in like in 5 years or so?
You know, originally when we founded it, we had seen it as sort of like an agency that would end up having staff and be able to provide service delivery. But I don't think that that's what we are. I think we're very grassroots, advocacy based, project based, volunteer led, and I don't know that that will change. I think that that's what makes us unique, and
Hmm.
that's what makes us so nimble and um, you know, I think everyone that's on our board would probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've got some lifers too on the board, like people who are super
I
passionate
hope
about it and
so.
don't want to go anywhere.
I really hope so. You know,
Yeah.
our board has changed over. It's not like we haven't had turnover
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
past several
Yeah.
years, but we definitely like have some core people who I know will remain and it's really great. So,
Yeah. That's so cool. Okay, so what about for yourself? Like, where, like, you're working on your master's, so where do you see yourself in 5 years, with your career, with your job? What do you envision, or what other goals do you have for yourself?
um, I'm trying to work that out. You know, I've always been kind of a process-based person where I'm gonna go where this leads me to next.
Yeah.
My goals are really I think at this point to work in the policy world, I really wanna make impacts, um, in policy that oppresses people
Hmm.
and impacts the vulnerable. Um, and so I think that that's definitely an area that I would like to be in. I've always said one day I may want to end up in politics, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens.
That would be
Yeah,
cool. We
yeah.
need more women in politics. That's awesome. So, if you had advice for young girls, so you have two boys?
Well, our
Or
we actually have 4, so we're a blended
oh,
family. We have,
okay,
a girl and 3 boys.
okay,
2 of those boys are mine biologically.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, I always say, like, because I mean, I'm very much my brand and organization is like an empowering women and really trying to encourage women to live out their dreams. So I love empowering young girls, but I also love empowering young boys. I mean, I think they're vulnerable enough to not really know traditional roles and or what has been or whatever. And I think too that they're going to grow up in an era where there's a lot more equality amongst genders. So I have a boy and a girl. So I always encourage the both of them, you know, to dream big and you know, always know that you can do anything you set your mind to. You just got to try. You just got to do it. Give it a go. But do you have any advice for, you know, a young girl or a young woman, even in, you know, just fresh out of high school, who, you know, would want to pursue her dreams, or even a young boy, really? You know, do you have any life advice or big quote that you go by all the time that you'd want to share?
Um, I just think, like, everyone is going to have adversity, and you just have to keep trying.
Yeah, I
You
like
know,
that.
coming from a person who it took 9 years to complete an undergraduate degree, like, it doesn't matter how long it takes you, when you do it, or how you achieve it.
I
Just
100%
like
agree. Yeah,
that.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually just read, and I've read this many times, but um, there's like a big, not a big thing, but you can find a meme sort of type thing that's shared on social media, how like Oprah got fired from her first job at 23 or something like that. And Harrison Ford didn't do his first movie till he was like 30, or, and then it goes on to like this one woman who didn't write her first book till she was like 70. But the point being is that don't let that like an age or where you're at in life stop you from getting to where you want to be, and to just always trying and always working at it. So yeah, I like that a lot. I live by that a lot, although I don't have always the greatest words to make it sound like a nice little quote or anything. But no, I like that. And I think it's awesome that you did that. And it shows your kids too, that you're not giving up, that you never gave up, and you got a degree and now you're working on a master's. Like, how cool is that? And you've got this NPO, like, I mean, you've got a lot on your plate, but you're making it sounds like you're making an amazing impact. And I think too, as you get older, as we all get older and your kids get older, they're going to see that and they're going to look back and be like, oh my gosh, like my mom was such a hard worker. They're going to be saying what you're saying about your mom. And I think that's so awesome. So I am so thankful for your time. Before we go, I want to play a little bit of a this or that game. And it's easy peasy. So it's just a game that just kind of lets us know a little bit about you a little better. So I'm going to say 2 words, and then you're just going to say the word that applies to you.
Okay.
So we're going to start with beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach. Me too. Mornings or night?
Night.
Night. Movie or dinner out?
Dinner out.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction. Pizza or salad?
Pizza.
So far, I think everything you're answering is exactly how I would answer it. I love it. Flying across the world, exploring a new country, or family cottage?
Family cottage.
Family cottage. Oh, cool. Big party or small gathering?
Small gathering.
Okay. New clothes or new phone?
Oh, that's a tough one. New clothes.
Okay, awesome. I was hoping you'd say that. Online shopping or in store?
Online.
Okay. Phone call or text?
Text.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Summer. Yeah, I think most people would agree here in Alberta. Music or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Cool. Me too. 100%. Okay, awesome. That's it for that game. And you're going to get a makeover still. So we're still waiting to hear on the salon and when they get caught up with their backlog of appointments. But once that's set, you're going to get a new hairdo and a new outfit. So I'm excited to plan that, and we'll be in touch about that real soon. And again, thank you so much for coming on here, and I'm excited to share this with everybody.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be so much fun. And thanks to Mel for nominating me. I love you, Mel.
Awesome. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.